Hello everyone, this is Vivek Ras. Today we will study class 12th accountancy and we will cover the chapter Introduction of Partnership Firm. And we will study about the topic that is past adjustment, right? So today we will do the CBSE board questions and we'll do the important question. So we will continue with the question number 8. So let's do the question number 8, right? Okay. So question number 8 says, X, Y, and Z are partners in a firm sharing profits and losses in the ratio 5:3:2. Their fixed capitals were 3 lakh, 2 lakh, and 1 lakh. For the year ended 31st March 2024, interest on capital was credited to them, that is 10% per annum instead of 8% per annum. Showing your working notes clearly and pass necessary adjustment journal entry. Okay. So before doing this particular question, first of all, you need to check whether it is fixed capital or fluctuating capital. So as it is given in the question that the capital is fixed, you can see in the question that fixed capitals are given. So whenever fixed capitals are given, you need to use current account instead of capital account. So after preparing the final accounts, mistake was found. What is the mistake? So mistake is interest on capital was credited to them, that is 10% per annum instead of 8% per annum. It means 2% more interest on capital was provided. Now we need to rectify it by passing journal entry. So before doing so, we need to make the adjustment table and then we will pass the adjustment journal entry, right? So now what you have to do is that you need to find out the difference. By what difference you have overstated the interest on capital. So you can easily see here, right? That is 10% and 8%. The difference will be 2% more. So first of all, you need to find out the difference between these two, and the difference is 2%. Okay. So let's go to calculate 2% of fixed capital of each partner, right? So let's go to do the working note here, right? So working note. So number first is that calculate 2% of capital. Remember that 2% is the overstated amount, right? Because you have provided 2% more interest on capital. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I put that 2% difference. So that will be 10% minus 8%. Okay. So what is the partner name in the question? Let's go to check it. It's X, Y, and Z. Okay. For X, that will be 2% of 3 lakh, 2 by 100. And what is the value? 3,000 into 2, that is 6,000. And for Y, 2% of 2 lakh, that will be 4,000. And for Z, so 2 lakh. So for Z, that is 1 lakh, 2% of 1 lakh. Okay. And this will give you 2,000. Okay. So finally, we have calculated 2% interest on capital that was overstated, right? That is, the value is 6,000, 4,000, and 2,000. Now, next, what you have to do is that you need to put that value into the adjustment table. So let's go to put it. Okay. Since it is overstated, now you have to debit the partner's capital account and same will be created to firm account. Okay. Interest on capital wrongly given 2% more now debited. Okay, so interest on capital that was given 2% more now debited. So what we have to do is that we need to debit the partner's capital account and the same will be created to firm account. So let's go to check out the value. What is the value of 2% on capital? That is 6,000, 4,000 and 2,000. So 6,000 will be debited. Again, 4,000 will be debited and 2,000 will be debited. Okay, so in partner's capital account that will be debited and in firm account it will be credited. So what is the total value? That is 6,000, 4,000 and 2,000. This will give you 12,000. Okay, perfect. Okay. Now that 12,000 is the income for the firm and the same will be divided between all partners in profit sharing ratio. Okay. So now profit will be distributed between X, Y and Z. Now in what ratio? Let's go to check out the ratio, that is 5:3:2. So 5:3:2. Perfect. So now that 12,000, that is income, right, will be distributed between all partners in 5:3:2. So let's go to prepare the working note for the distribution of profit. So working note number 2, distribution of profit. Okay. For X, so this will be 12,000 into, what is the ratio? 5:3:2. So 5/10 and this will give you what? Half, that is 6,000. And for Y, 12,000 into 3/10. So what is the value, guys? What is the value? 3,600. And for Z, that will be 12,000 into 2/10 and this will give you 2,400. Okay, so finally we have calculated the profit share of all partners, that is X, Y and Z, that is 6,000, 3,600 and 2,400. Now let's go to put this value in adjustment table. Now since it is a profit and this must be credited to the partner's capital account and the same will be debited to firm account. Okay, so 6,000, 3,600 and 2,400. 6,000, 3,600 and 2,400. Okay, and the same will be debited to firm account, that will be 12,000. Perfect. Let's go to make it total. So what is the total value? That is 6,000. Again 6,000. 4,000, 3600, 2000, 2400, 12,000, and the same will be 12,000. So good, great. Now let's go to find out the net effect. Okay. For net effect, what you have to do is that you need to find out the balance, whether it is a debit balance or the credit balance. So in X case, because debit equal to credit, so there is a nil balance, so the balance is nil. Now, for Y, you can see here, right? Debit is greater than credit by 400. So what you have to do is that you need to put up the difference amount, that will be 400, and it will be debited. Good. Let's go to Z. So you can easily see here, right? So credit is more than debit by what amount? That is 400. So 400, this will be credited. So good. Finally, we have prepared the adjustment table. Now what we have to do is that we need to pass the journal entry, that is adjusted journal entry. So here you have to use current account, not the capital account, because you can see their fixed capitals are given. Okay. Now, what is the date? That is 31st March 2024. Let's go to put up the date, 31st March 2024. So Y's current account, debit to Z current account. Perfect. What is the value? So the value is 400. So 400 will be debited to Y and 400 will be credited to Z. Perfect. So let's go to write the narration. So being adjustment made for excess of interest on capital. Okay, so we have adjusted the excess amount of interest on capital by way of adjustment journal entry. Now, let's go to do the question number 5. And question number 5 says that A and B are partners in a firm sharing profits and losses in the ratio 3:2. And the balance sheet is given as on 31st March 2024, in which capital account of A and B, that is 6 lakh and 2 lakh. And also the assets are 8 lakh, right? So there's adjustment that is saying profit of rupees 3 lakh for the year ended 31st March 2024 was divided between the partners without allowing interest on capital at the rate of 12% per annum and salary to A at the rate of 10,000 rupees per month, right? During the year, A withdrew 1 lakh and B withdrew 2 lakh rupees. Now pass necessary adjustment journal entry and show you're working clearly. So it's very simple question. It's not very tough. Now what you have to do is that you need to first calculate the opening capital on the basis of the adjustments given and also the capital given in the balance sheet, because this balance sheet is prepared on 31st March 2024. So that does mean about that the capital which is given in the balance sheet, that is a closing capital. No. So from that closing capital, we need to find out the opening capital first. So let's go to prepare the working note and then find the opening capital. So capital as on 31st March 2024. So let's go to check what is the capital given. That is 6 lakh and 2 lakh. So let's go to put 6 lakh and 2 lakh. And that is for A and B. You need to ignore the third column. Okay, so 6 lakh. And what is next? That is 2 lakh. Six lakh and 2 lakh. Again, you need to ignore the third column. Now, so whenever you have to calculate the opening capital, what you have to do is that you need to use the formula we already have done in class 11th as well. So what is the formula? Closing capital plus drawing minus profit. So let's go to add the drawings. Okay, so what is the value of drawing? Let's go to check it. Okay. Is there any drawing given? Yes, it is given. 1 lakh and 2 lakh. So now 1 lakh and 2 lakh. Perfect. Now you need to subtract the profit. So less profit. So let's go to check the value of profit. Okay. So the profit of the year was 3 lakh rupees. No? And that was divided between the partners without allowing the interest on capital and salary. No? So that 3 lakh will be distributed between A and B in the ratio 3:2. So let's go to find out the value of profit and the share of profit of A and B. So here we need to make the working note, and the working note will be number 3rd. Calculation of profit share. Now you need to write before providing interest on capital and salary. Perfect. So let's go to find out the value for A. So the profit is 3 lakh rupees and the share of A is 3/5. So 3 lakh into 3/5. What will be the value? That will be 180,000. Okay. And for B, 3 lakh into 2/5, and that will be 120,000. So let's go to put this into the working note. So 180,000 and 120,000. So this will give you the opening capital. So opening capital So what is the value of opening capital? So 6 lakh plus 1 lakh, that will be 7 lakh. 7 lakh minus 180,000. What is the value? So 7 minus 1, that will be 6, and 6 minus 80,000, that will be 520,000. So the value would be 520,000. Again, 2 plus 2, that will be 4 lakh. 4 lakh minus 1 lakh, that will be 3 lakh. 3 lakh minus 20,000, that will be 280,000. 280,000. Perfect. So remember, we already have discussed about it that whenever you have to calculate the interest on capital, always remember interest on capital is calculated on only opening capital. If it is given closing capital, then first calculate the opening capital by using this particular formula, and then you need to find out the interest on capital on that opening capital. Okay. So let's go to find out the opening capital. So let's go to find out the interest on capital. Perfect. So what is the rate of interest on capital? Let's go to check it out. That is 12%. Okay, so 5,20,000 into 12/100. This will give you 62,400. Now let's go to calculate 12% of 280,000. So 280,000 into 12/100. So what is the value? That will be 33,600. Okay, so we have calculated the interest on capital. Now let's go to put this into the adjustment table. Okay. Now, what you have to do is that initially you have distributed wrong profit, right? Without allowing the salary and also the interest on capital. Now, what you have to do is that you need to take back that profit which you have already distributed. Okay. So, profit wrongly distributed. Okay, so profit wrongly distributed. Now you have to take back that profit, So in that case, partner's capital account will be debited and the same will be credited to firm account. So what is the profit which was already distributed? So let's go to find out. So we already have calculated the profit, that is 180,000 and 120,000. Okay, so now 180,000 that will be debited and 120,000 that also be debited. Okay, and the same will be credited to firm account. So what is the total value? That is 3 lakh. So we already have taken back the profit which was wrongly distributed. Now next step is that you need to provide the interest on capital that was omitted, So let's go to provide the interest on capital. So interest on capital now given. So what is the value of interest on capital? As we have already calculated, that is 62,400 and 33,600. Remember, we are allowing the interest on capital. In that case, partner's capital account will be created and the same will be debited to firm account. So the value is 62,400, 33,600. 62,400, 33,600. Perfect. And what is the total value of this? So it will be debited to the firm. So what is the value? Let's go to make it total. So the total value is 96,000 that will be debited to firm account. Okay. Perfect. So let's go to provide the salary. So let's go to check the question. What is the salary? Yeah. And salary given to A, that is 10,000 per month. Remember, it is given 10,000 per month. So what you have to do is that you need to calculate the salary for 1 year and then you need to multiply it by 12. Okay. So if you multiply it by 12, you will get the value that is 1,20,000. Okay. So let's go to put salary given to A and that will be 120,000. Now, since you are allowing the salary, in that case, partner's capital account will be credited and the same will be debited to firm account. So remember, you are only providing the salary to A, not to the B as well, right? So what you have to do is that you need to put the salary into the A column, that is 120,000. Okay. And the same will be debited to firm account, 120,000. Good, great. Now, we have given interest on capital, we have given salary to A. Now, what you have to do is that you need to check, is there any remaining profit available? Yes. So the credit side of the firm account, that is 3 lakh, and the debit side of the firm account, that is, what is the total value? 2,16,000. Okay. Since we have remaining profit available, and that remaining profit will be distributed between A and B in the profit sharing ratio. So let's go to find out the exact remaining profit. Now, net divisible profit is equal to, so look at that, the credit balance of firm account, that is 3 lakh, less 96,000 and less 1,20,000. Okay, so what will be the value? Okay, so the value would be 84,000. Okay, so this is the net divisible profit. Now this will be distributed between A and B in the profit sharing ratio. So let's go to check what is the profit sharing ratio. So this is 3:2. Okay, so for A, $84,000 into 3/5. So what is the value? The value will be 50,400. Okay. And next is for B, 84,000 into 2/5. And this will give you 33,600. So great. Now we have calculated the net divisible profit. Okay. Now let's go to put this amount into the adjustment table. Now profit will be distributed between A and B in the ratio what? 3:2. Now, since you are distributing the profit, in that case, the partner's capital account will be created and the same will be debited to firm account. Now, let's go to create the amount which we have calculated. That is 50,400. So 50,400 and 33,600. 33,600. So what is the total value? What is the total value? That will be 84,000. So what is the total value? That is 84,000. That will be debited to firm account. Good. So finally, we have put up all the amount into the adjustment table. Now we need to calculate the total of each column, that is debit and credit. So what is the total of A's capital debit side? That is 180,000. And what is the total of credit side? This is 2,32,800. Okay. So what is the total of B's capital debit side? That is 120,000. And what is the total of credit side? 67,200. Perfect. Now the total of debit side of firm account, that will be 3 lakh. And again 3 lakh. Good. Let's go to find out the net effect. So what we have to do is that we need to compare the debit and credit side of each capital account. No. So let's go to check A's capital. Now you can see here credit side is more than the debit side. By what amount? That is 52,800. So trade balance is 52,800. That will be trade balance. Now let's go to B's capital. Now let's go to B's capital. Now you can see here debit balance is greater than the trade balance. By what amount? That is 52,800 again. 52,800, and this will be debit balance. So finally we have calculated the net effect. Now let's go to pass the adjustment journal entry. So in the journal entry, B's capital will be debited and A's capital will be credited. By what amount? That is 52,800. So let's go to pass the journal entry. Okay, so first of all, we need to put up the date. What is the date? That is 31st March 2024. So 31st March 2024. Now B's capital account will be debited. So B's capital account, that will be debit to A's capital account. So what is the value? That is 52,800 and 52,800 will be created. Okay, so let's go to write the narration. Being adjustment made for interest on capital and salaries. Okay, so finally we have passed the journal entry, that is B's capital account debit to A's capital account, and also we have prepared the working note. So finally we have done this particular question, and if you have any doubt related to this particular question, you can put up your question or put up your doubt into the comment box. I will definitely gonna go to answer it.